In the West Bank, Israel's campaign widened, overnight arresting over 60 members of Hamas, including senior politicians serving in the Palestinian cabinet. Israel holds Hamas responsible for the fate of its soldier.
If they're involved in terrorism, they can't stand up and say, oh, we're political people.
And in the skies over Syria, Israeli jets buzzed the summer palace of Syrian President Bashar Assad. Israel accuses him of supporting Hamas, in particular Khalid Meshal, the Hamas leader who lives in Damascus. And near Ramallah, the dead body of an 18-year-old settler was found. He was kidnapped by the same Palestinian group that holds the soldier. They threatened to execute him if Israel did not withdraw from Gaza. Israel is refusing to compromise or negotiate with the kidnappers of Corporal Gilad Shalit. And so the fate of one young soldier and Israel's determination to bring him home is now threatening a significant escalation. Simon McGregor-Wood, ABC News, Jerusalem.
We're joined now by Ziad Asali. He is president and founder of the American Task Force on Palestine, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. He joins us now from Washington. Sir, from your perspective, what is happening right now in Gaza?
Well, there is an incursion, of course, by the Israelis into Gaza and in the West Bank. It seems to have halted as of this moment, but the Israelis still are present in Gaza. There has been a great deal of damage to the electrical structure, so Gaza is pretty much in the dark and without electricity, and the military situation is uncertain. There have been no casualties as far as we know so far in Gaza, which is one of the few good things, actually, that we can say.
Now,
otherwise, there's... Yes.
I'm sorry, sir. The Israelis have been under tremendous pressure from a lot of people, including the Americans right away, and most recently the Egyptians, saying, stop, take your time, and let's let diplomacy have a chance here. Do you think this has finally worked?
Well, I think there is no military solution for this problem. There is a young military officer who is kidnapped and is somewhere in Gaza, as far as we can tell, and the Israelis want him out. Trying to take him out by a military show of force does not seem to be working. There are still avenues to be explored, and those include conversations globally and regionally to see if the regional players, at least, who can lean on Hamas or its operatives in Gaza to release this man, perhaps in some kind of a deal that everybody would agree to without losing face. That's the big challenge now.
Do you think the corporal is still alive, sir?
By every indication, as far as we know, he's still alive. And we've heard that he was hurt, a little bit injured when he was abducted, but he's still alive as far as we know, and in Gaza.
Now, as you know, one of the problems in Gaza has been getting all the Palestinian factions on side. There's been ongoing discord between Fatah and Hamas, and there's even reports that the militants who snatched the corporal are like a breakaway Hamas group, so even Hamas is not unified on this.
I think what you just stated is true. This conflict that we witness at this point in time actually reflects three different conflicts. One is one between the Palestinians and the Israelis, which is the traditional 50-year-old conflict. The other is between two factions in Palestine, Fatah and Hamas. And the third, interestingly, is one between Hamas, two factions of Hamas. The one that is inside in Gaza is trying to negotiate some kind of a deal with the other Palestinians, and the other, which is based outside Palestine, and that is the one that has the military wing, and that's the one who's involved in the kidnapping. So it's quite a complicated picture.
Yeah, that's complicated. Meanwhile, we've got apparently hundreds of thousands of people have no electricity. Thousands and thousands of people apparently are having trouble getting water. Can Gaza continue like this?
And add to that that the borders are hermetically sealed, so nobody can get in or outside of Gaza. We're talking about 1.4 million people without electricity and all the amenities that you mentioned, and without access to any sources of food and other things that cross the border. So this situation cannot at all be sustained for any length of time. That's why the international community will have to lean on heavily on all players to try and resolve this as soon as possible.
Does anyone have leverage, sir, with the Hamas militants to get the corporal back? Because the corporal coming back would stop the problem, right?
Well, that is the position that Israel has taken, is that it will relent if the corporal is returned alive. Now, the people who have been involved with the kidnapping are the military wing of Hamas, and they seem to have allegiance to their leadership that is based in Damascus, Mr. Khalid Mash'al, who in turn has close relations both with the leadership of Damascus and Iran. So there are regional players that could possibly help or hinder in trying to resolve the kidnapping issue.
Well, certainly we live in uncertain times, sir. Thank you very much. Ziad Asali. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The U.S. Supreme Court today struck a blow against the George Bush version of the war on terror. The court ruled